The ocean waves crashed against the research boat as Dr. Eleanor Rodriguez pulled another water sample. From the dark Pacific, it was past midnight, but sleep was the last thing on her mind. For 3 months now, she had been coming out here alone, collecting data that made her stomach twist with worry. The numbers were getting worse every single day. Eleanor wiped the sweat from her forehead and looked at the small screen, showing her latest readings. The ocean's chemistry was changing faster than anyone back at the university realized. She had tried telling her colleagues, but they thought she was being too dramatic. They didn't want to hear about the real numbers. They preferred the cleaned-up versions that didn't scare the funding committees. But Eleanor knew the truth. The fish were dying. The coral reefs were turning white and crumbling. The whole ocean was slowly turning into acid soup, and nobody wanted to admit it. She pulled out her father's old photograph from her jacket pocket. It was wrinkled and faded now, but she could still see his kind eyes and gentle smile. He had been a marine biologist too, just like her. He had tried to warn people about the ocean's problems 20 years ago, but nobody listened to him either. "Dad, I wish you were here," she whispered to the photograph. "I don't know what to do anymore. The ocean is dying, and I'm just one person. How can I save something so big and important when nobody wants to listen?" The wind picked up, making the boat rock back and forth. Eleanor steadied herself and looked up at the stars. They seemed unusually bright tonight, almost like they were trying to tell her something. She had always loved the night sky, but lately, she felt like something was watching her from up there. What Eleanor didn't know was that something really was watching her. High above the clouds, completely invisible to human eyes, a massive ship floated silently in the darkness. The ship was made of materials that bent light around it, making it impossible to see from Earth. Inside this ship, hundreds of beings from another world were studying every move humans made. Princess Zaravel stood in the ship's observation deck, her eyes fixed on the small research boat below. She had been assigned to watch this particular human for weeks now, and she couldn't understand why she found Eleanor so fascinating. Most of her people thought humans were simple creatures who only cared about fighting and destroying their own planet. But Zaravel saw something different in Eleanor. Every night, she watched the scientists work alone in the darkness, collecting samples and recording data with a passion that reminded the princess of her own people's greatest researchers. There was something pure about Eleanor's dedication that touched Zaravel's heart. The princess looked very much like a human, but there were subtle differences. Her skin had a soft, pearl-like glow that changed colors with her emotions. Right now, it was showing a gentle blue, which meant she was feeling curious and concerned. Her eyes were larger than human eyes, and they shifted from silver to gold depending on her mood. Zaravel's people, the Ketmarans, had been watching Earth for over 50 years. They had technology that could solve many of humanity's problems in just a few days, but their leaders had decided that humans were too dangerous to help. They believed that if humans got advanced technology, they would only use it to create more powerful weapons and destroy themselves faster. But watching Eleanor work so hard to save her dying ocean made Zaravel question everything her people believed about humans. This woman wasn't trying to build weapons or hurt anyone. She was trying to heal her world, just like the Kethmaran scientists who had tried to save their own dying planet. Commander Lex Valoom, Zaravel's teacher and protector, approached her at the observation window. His expression was stern. "As always, Princess, you have been watching this human for too long. It is time to move on to the next subject." Zaravel's skin flickered with orange streaks, showing her frustration. "But Commander, look at what she's doing. She's trying to save our ocean, just like our people tried to save the crystal seas of Kethmora. How can we call humans primitive when they have individuals like this?" The commander's eyes narrowed. "One human does not represent the entire species, Princess. Your mother, the Empress, has made it clear that humans are not ready for contact. They are too violent, too unpredictable. We observe, we study, but we do not interfere." "But what if we're wrong?" Zaravel asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "What if there are more humans like her? What if they could learn to be better if we just gave them a chance?" Commander Thexval's expression softened slightly. He had watched Zeravel grow up, and he knew she had a kind heart that sometimes got her into trouble. Princess, I understand your curiosity, but you must remember your duties. Your people need you to be strong and wise, not emotional about alien species. Down on the research boat, Elena was packing up her equipment for the night. She had collected enough samples to keep her busy for days, analyzing the water's chemistry and documenting the changes. As she prepared to head back to shore, she noticed something strange in the water. A soft, blue light was glowing beneath the surface, unlike anything she had ever seen before. It wasn't like the bioluminescent plankton she was used to studying. This light was too steady, too organized. It seemed to be moving in patterns, almost like it was trying to communicate. Elena grabbed her underwater camera and leaned over the side of the boat. The light was beautiful but mysterious, and her scientific mind was immediately intrigued. She had studied marine biology for 15 years, but she had never seen anything like this. High above, Zeravel watched Elena's reaction to the mysterious light. The princess's heart began to race. Some of the ship's external lights were malfunctioning, creating the glow that Elena was seeing. It was a small technical problem, but it was about to change everything. Princess, we need to leave immediately, Commander Thexvalum said urgently. The light malfunction could expose our position. But Zeravel was no longer listening to her teacher. She was watching Elena's face, seeing the wonder and excitement in the human's eyes. This was her chance to make contact, to learn the truth about humans from someone who clearly cared about more than just violence and destruction. Before Commander Thexvalum could stop her, Princess Zeravel ran to the ship's transport room. Her hands were shaking as she activated the personal transport pod, a small device that could carry her safely to Earth's surface. She had never used it before, but she had watched the demonstrations hundreds of times. Princess, stop, Commander Thexvalum shouted, but it was too late. The transport pod activated with a soft humming sound, and Zeravel felt herself dissolving into pure energy. For a moment, she existed everywhere and nowhere at once. Then, suddenly, she was materializing on the deck of Elena's research boat, her feet touching human-made metal for the first time in her life. Elena looked up from her camera and froze. Standing before her was a figure that looked almost human, but clearly wasn't. The being's skin glowed with a soft light, and her eyes were the most beautiful silver-gold color Elena had ever seen. For a moment, neither of them moved or spoke. Then Zeravel, her voice trembling with nervousness and excitement, spoke the words that would change both their worlds forever. Show me what you're hiding, human. Elena's heart pounded so hard she could hear it in her ears. Every rational part of her mind told her this couldn't be real, that she must be hallucinating from too many sleepless nights. But the being standing before her was too detailed, too present to be imaginary. I don't understand, Elena managed to say, her voice barely working. Zeravel's skin flickered with nervous purple patterns. She had rehearsed this moment in her mind hundreds of times, but now that it was actually happening, she felt terrified and excited at the same time. You work so hard every night, the princess said, her voice becoming stronger. You care about your dying ocean. You talk to the photograph of someone you miss. I have been watching you, and I need to know. What are you really trying to accomplish? What are you hiding from your own people? Elena's mind reeled. This being had been watching her. For how long? And how did it know about her father's photograph? The two women stood there in the moonlight, surrounded by the vast Pacific Ocean, both of them knowing that this moment would change everything. Neither of them realized that their meeting would soon put both their worlds in danger, or that they would have to choose between their own people and the friendship that was about to bloom between them. The adventure was just beginning. Elena's hands were shaking so badly she could barely hold onto the boat's railing. The being standing in front of her looked almost human, but there was something otherworldly about the way she moved, the way her skin seemed to glow in the moonlight. This couldn't be real. Things like this didn't happen to ordinary marine biologists from California. Please don't be afraid, Zeravel said softly, noticing how terrified Elena looked. I know this must be very strange for you, but I promise. I won't hurt you." Eleanor tried to speak, but no words came out. Her scientific mind was racing, trying to process what she was seeing. The being in front of her was definitely not human, but she seemed intelligent, even kind. Her eyes held a warmth that reminded Elena of her grandmother's gentle gaze. You're not from Earth, are you?" Elena finally managed to whisper. Zaravel's skin flickered with soft gold patterns, showing her relief that Elena was trying to communicate. "No, I'm not. My name is Zaravel, and I come from a world very far from here. My people have been watching your planet for many years, watching us." Elena's voice grew stronger as her scientific curiosity began to overcome her. Fear? For how long? Why? The princess looked uncomfortable. She had broken so many rules just by being here, and now she was about to break even more. For over 50 years, we've been studying human civilization, trying to understand your species. Elena's mind was spinning. 50 years of observation meant that aliens had been watching during her father's lifetime, during her own childhood, during all the major events of recent history. But why stay hidden? Why not make contact? Zaravel's skin darkened with sad blue colors. "Because my people believe that humans are too dangerous to contact directly. They think your species is too violent, too unpredictable. They believe that if we gave you our technology, you would only use it to create more powerful weapons." "That's not true," Elena said quickly, her voice filled with passion. "Yes, some humans do terrible things, but many of us are trying to make the world better. I spend every day trying to save the ocean, trying to understand how to heal the damage we've done." "I know," Zaravel said, her voice growing warmer. "That's why I'm here. I've been watching you work, and I see something in you that my people refuse to see in humans. You care about your world the same way our best scientists care about ours." Elena felt a strange sense of connection with this alien princess, despite coming from different worlds. They both seemed to share the same passion for protecting their environments. "Tell me about your world. What's it like?" Zaravel's expression grew sad. "My world is dying, just like yours. We call it Kefmora, and it was once the most beautiful planet in our galaxy. We had crystal seas that sparkled like diamonds, and forests that sang in harmony with the wind. But we made mistakes, just like humans are making now. We used up too many resources. We polluted our atmosphere, and by the time we realized what we had done, it was almost too late." "Almost too late?" Elena asked, leaning forward with interest. "We developed technology that could have saved our planet, but we were too proud to use it. We thought we could find a better way, a way that wouldn't require us to change our lifestyle. By the time we accepted that we needed to make sacrifices, most of our world was already dead." Elena felt her heart sink. "So you're looking for a new home?" Zaravel nodded slowly. "My people are desperate, though they tried to hide it. We've been searching for a planet that could support our species. And Earth is the most suitable world we've found. But we don't want to take your planet by force. We want to find a way for both our species to survive. That's why you have the technology to help us." Elena realized. "You could save our oceans, couldn't you?" "Yes," Zaravel admitted. "We have devices that could clean your oceans in weeks. Machines that could restore your coral reefs. Technology that could reverse the damage your species has done. But my mother, the Empress, believes that humans would only use such gifts to cause more destruction." Elena stood up straighter, her scientific mind racing with possibilities. "What if we could prove her wrong? What if we could show your people that humans are capable of change?" Before Zaravel could answer, a bright light suddenly appeared above. Then 3 figures materialized on the boat's deck, their forms solidifying from pure energy just as Zaravel's had done. Elena gasped and stepped backward, but Zaravel moved protectively in front of her. The largest of the 3 figures was clearly a military commander. His skin was darker than Zaravel's, with sharp silver patterns that seemed to pulse with authority. His eyes were cold and calculating as they studied Elena. "Princess Zaravel," he said in a voice that rumbled like distant thunder, "you have violated direct orders from the Empress. You will return to the ship immediately. Commander Vexvolume." Zaravel replied, her own voice becoming formal and controlled. "I was conducting an authorized observation. Observation does not include direct contact with the subject species," the commander said firmly. "You have compromised our security and violated the prime directive of non-interference." Elena looked back and forth between them, trying to understand. What was happening? Prime directive? Like in Star Trek. Commander Thexval's eyes fixed on Elena, and she felt a chill run down her spine. The human has been exposed to classified information. Memory modification is required. Memory modification? Elena's voice rose with alarm. "What does that mean?" Zervel stepped closer to Elena, her skin flickering with angry red patterns. "It means they want to erase your memories of meeting me, of learning about our existence. They want to make you forget everything that happened tonight." "No," Elena said firmly, surprising herself with her courage. "I'm a scientist. I can't just forget the most important discovery in human history. This could change everything for both our species." Commander Thexvalum studied Elena for a long moment. The human shows typical emotional attachment to forbidden knowledge. "The modification process will be quick and painless." "Commander, please," Zervel pleaded. "Look at her research. Look at what she's trying to accomplish. She's not like the other humans. She could be the bridge between our peoples." "The Empress has made her decision," the commander replied coldly. "Humans are too unpredictable to be trusted with knowledge of our existence. This one will be modified, and you will return to face judgment for your actions." Elena felt panic rising in her chest. She had spent her entire life searching for answers, for ways to save her dying planet. Now, when she had found hope in the most unexpected place, they wanted to take it all away. "Wait," she said, her voice growing stronger. "Before you do anything to my memory, let me show you something. Let me show you what I've been hiding from my own people." She pulled out her waterproof tablet and began opening files. "These are my real research findings. The ones I can't publish because they're too frightening. The ones that show how quickly our ocean is dying." The screen lit up with charts and graphs that painted a terrifying picture. Elena's hands moved quickly across the data, explaining each horrible trend. "The pH levels are dropping faster than we thought possible. The coral reefs are dying at twice the rate we've admitted publicly. The fish populations are collapsing. Within 20 years, maybe less, most of our ocean will be too acidic to support life." Commander Thexval's expression began to change as he studied the data. "These numbers, they're similar to what we recorded on Kethmora in the final stages." "That's exactly right," Elena said, her voice filled with desperate hope. "We're making the same mistakes you made, but we still have time to fix them if we act now. Your technology could save both our worlds." Zervel looked at her commander with pleading eyes. "Can't you see? She's not trying to build weapons or hurt anyone. She's trying to heal her world, just like our ancestors tried to heal ours. We could help each other." The commander was quiet for a long moment, studying the data on Elena's tablet. Finally, he looked up at both women. "I cannot make this decision alone. The Empress must see this information, and she must decide whether the human can be trusted." "What does that mean for me?" Elena asked. "It means," Commander Thexvalum said slowly, "that you have a choice. You can accept memory modification and return to your normal life, forgetting this encounter ever happened. Or you can come with us and present your case to the Empress herself. But I must warn you, if you choose the second option, there may be no going back. Once you know the full truth about our peoples, you will be forever changed." Elena looked at Zervel, who gave her an encouraging nod. Then she looked out at the dark ocean, thinking about all the dying creatures beneath the waves, all the problems. That seemed too big for one person to solve. "I choose the truth," Elena said firmly. "I choose to take the risk." The adventure was about to become much more dangerous than either of them had imagined. Elena's heart pounded as she stepped into the alien transport pod. The inside looked like something from a science fiction movie, with walls that seemed to be made of living light. Zervel stood beside her, offering a reassuring smile that helped calm Elena's nerves. "Don't worry," the princess whispered. "The transport is completely safe. You'll feel a little dizzy at first, but it will pass quickly." Elena nodded, gripping the smooth handrail as the pod began to hum with energy. She felt herself becoming lighter, as if gravity was slowly letting go of her. Then, suddenly, she was somewhere else entirely. They were inside a massive underwater cavern, hidden deep beneath the Pacific Ocean. The walls sparkled with natural crystals, and bioluminescent plants provided a soft, blue glow. Elena gasped in amazement. She had studied underwater caves for years, but she had never seen anything this beautiful. "This is our secret meeting place," Zaravel explained. "My people built this sanctuary years ago, but it's been abandoned. Since the non-interference policy was put in place, we should be safe here while we work." "Work on what?" Elena asked, still marveling at the crystal formations around them. "On finding a solution that can save both our worlds," Zaravel replied. "But first, there's something I need to show you. Something that will help you understand why my people are so desperate." The princess activated a device that looked like a small, glowing orb. Suddenly, the cavern walls came alive with holographic images. Elena found herself looking at the most beautiful planet she had ever seen. Crystal blue oceans stretched as far as the eye could see, with floating islands covered in trees that seemed to shimmer with their own inner light. "This is Kethmora," Zaravel said softly, "or rather, this is what it used to look like." The image shifted, showing the same world but completely transformed. The oceans were now a sickly yellow-green color. The floating islands had crashed into the poisoned seas, and the sky was filled with toxic clouds that blocked out the sun. "What happened?" Elena whispered, her heart breaking for this destroyed world. "The same thing that's happening to Earth," Zaravel replied. "We became so focused on progress and comfort that we forgot to take care of our planet. By the time we realized our mistake, it was too late to save most of our world." Elena stared at the images, seeing her own planet's future reflected in this alien tragedy. "How many of your people survived?" "About 10,000, Zaravel said, her voice heavy with sadness. "Out of billions, we're all that's left of our entire civilization." The weight of that number hit Elena like a physical blow. An entire species, reduced to just 10,000 survivors. She thought about Earth's 7 billion people and wondered how many would survive if humanity didn't change its ways soon. "But there's something else," Zaravel continued. "Something my people don't want to admit. We need Earth not just as a new home, but as a source of genetic material to help our species survive. Our population is too small to maintain genetic diversity. Without new biological resources, we'll die out within a few generations." Elena's scientific mind immediately understood the implications. "You need Earth's biodiversity to save your species." "Exactly. And Earth needs our technology to heal its damaged ecosystems. We could help each other. But my mother's council believes that humans are too dangerous to work with." Elena pulled out her tablet and began showing Zaravel more of her research. "Look at this. I've been tracking ocean temperature changes for the past 5 years. The warming is accelerating faster than anyone wants to admit." As they worked together, combining Elena's biological knowledge with Zaravel's advanced technology, they began to see possibilities that neither species had considered before. Elena's understanding of Earth's ecosystems, combined with Kethmora restoration technology, could potentially heal both worlds. "This is incredible," Elena said, looking at their combined data. "Your bioregeneration technology could restore our coral reefs in months instead of decades. And our genetic diversity could help strengthen your population. But we'll need help from both sides," Zaravel pointed out. "I can't convince my people alone. And you can't convince yours either." Elena's expression grew determined. "Actually, I might know some people who could help. There's a network of scientists who have been preparing for exactly this kind of situation." Over the next few hours, Elena contacted her most trusted colleagues using encrypted communication channels. Dr. Chen, her former professor, was the first to respond. His weathered face appeared on Elena's tablet screen, his eyes wide with disbelief. "Elena, are you telling me you're actually in contact with extraterrestrial beings?" he asked in a shaky voice. "I know it sounds impossible, but yes." "And Dr. Chen, they have technology that could save our planet. We need to put together a team of people we can trust completely. within hours. They had assembled a small group of scientists, environmentalists, and researchers who had been working in secret on humanity's most pressing problems. Each person was carefully vetted and sworn to secrecy before being brought into the underwater sanctuary. Dr. Patel, a climate scientist from India, nearly fainted when she first saw Zeravel. Professor Johnson, a marine biologist from Australia, kept touching the crystal walls to make sure they were real. Dr. Yamamoto, a geneticist from Japan, immediately began asking technical questions about Kethmaran biology. This is the most important moment in human history, Dr. Chen said, his voice filled with awe. We're not just talking about saving our planet anymore. We're talking about joining a galactic community. But their excitement was short-lived. As they worked through the night, combining human knowledge with alien technology, they were unaware that both sides were closing in on them. Elena's research team back at the university had noticed her absence and begun tracking her communications. Her colleagues thought she was having some kind of breakdown, talking about aliens and secret underwater meetings. They had contacted the authorities, worried about her mental state. Meanwhile, the Kethmaran Council had discovered Zeravel's unauthorized activities. Commander Thexvolume was under enormous pressure to bring the princess back immediately, before her actions could start a war between the two species. Princess, Commander Thexval's voice suddenly echoed through the cavern. You have 1 hour to return to the ship, or you will be declared a traitor to your people. Zeravel's skin flickered with defiant red patterns. I won't abandon this work. We're too close to a breakthrough. Then you will be stripped of your royal status and exiled forever, the commander replied. Your mother has made her decision. You are choosing aliens over your own people. Elena watched the pain in Zeravel's eyes and felt her heart break for her friend. Maybe you should go back. I don't want you to lose everything because of me. No, Zeravel said firmly. Some things are more important than royal titles. If we can save both our worlds, then my sacrifice will be worth it. But their troubles were just beginning. Elena's tablet began beeping with urgent messages from her research station. Her team members were panicking, saying that military helicopters were surrounding the area where she had disappeared. They think I've been kidnapped or lost at sea, Elena said, her face pale with worry. If the military gets involved, they'll try to capture you and your people. Dr. Chen looked up from his work with the Kethmaran technology. We need more time. We're so close to creating a working prototype of the ocean restoration device. Time is the one thing we don't have, Zeravel replied. If both our governments decide we're a threat, they'll try to stop us by force. Elena made a decision. That would change everything. Then we need to go public. We need to tell both our peoples the truth before the politicians and generals make decisions for U.S. That's incredibly dangerous, Dr. Patel warned. If this goes wrong, it could start a war between our species. And if we do nothing, Elena replied, both our worlds will die anyway. At least this way, we're giving peace a chance. As alarms began sounding both above and below the ocean, Elena and Zeravel knew they had reached the point of no return. Their secret alliance had been discovered, and now they would have to face the consequences of their choices. The fate of two worlds hung in the balance, and time was running out. Elena and Zeravel sat in the crystal cavern as explosions echoed above them. Military ships from Earth's navies were dropping depth charges into the ocean, trying to locate the alien presence they had detected. Each boom made the cavern shake, sending ripples through the bioluminescent pools around them. They're going to find us soon, Elena said, her voice barely steady. My government doesn't negotiate with unknown threats. They shoot first and ask questions later. Zeravel's skin was flickering rapidly between purple and silver, showing her fear and confusion. My people are the same way. Commander Thexvolume just sent another message. The Imperial fleet is preparing to defend themselves if your military attacks our ships. They'll fight back. Elena closed her eyes, feeling the weight of two worlds pressing down on her shoulders. Everything was falling apart so quickly. Just days ago, she had been a simple marine biologist, worried only about saving the ocean. Now she was caught in the middle of a potential war between two species. There's something I need to tell you, Elena said quietly. Something I've never told anyone before. Zeravel looked at her with those beautiful, shifting eyes. What is it? Elena pulled out her father's photograph again, holding it with trembling hands. My father didn't die in an accident like I told everyone. He took his own life. The princess's skin immediately shifted to a deep, compassionate blue. She moved closer to Elena, offering silent comfort. He was a marine biologist too. Elena continued, tears starting to form in her eyes. 20 years ago, he discovered that the ocean was dying much faster than anyone realized. He tried to warn people, tried to get the government and universities to listen. But nobody wanted to hear the truth. Elena's voice broke as she spoke. He spent years watching the ocean get sicker and sicker, knowing that he couldn't save it. Alone. The night before he died, he left me all his research. Pages and pages of data showing that we only had a few decades to fix things before it was too late. Zeravel reached out and gently touched Elena's hand. I'm so sorry. He sounds like he was a very brave man. He was, Elena whispered. But he felt so helpless. He told me in his final letter that the ocean was like a patient dying of cancer, and all he could do was watch it get worse. He said he hoped someday I would be stronger than him, strong enough to find a real solution. Elena wiped her eyes and looked directly at Zeravel. That's why I became a scientist. That's why I work alone in the middle of the night, collecting data that scares me to death. I've been carrying his research for 20 years, adding my own discoveries to it. The truth is, Earth's oceans are going to be completely dead within 15 years. Not 20 like I told you before. The princess was quiet for a long moment. Then she spoke in a voice so soft Elena almost couldn't hear her. I understand why. Your father felt helpless. I've been carrying a similar burden my entire life. What do you mean? Zeravel's skin turned almost completely silver, the color of deep sadness among her people. I told you that I'm a princess, but I didn't tell you the whole truth. I'm not just any princess. I'm the last surviving heir to the Kethmaran throne. Elena's eyes widened in shock. The last? What happened to your family? I had 3 older siblings, Zeravel said, her voice hollow with grief. My brother Kethran was supposed to be emperor. He was brilliant, strong, everything a leader should be. My sisters, Velara and Nethira, were both incredible scientists who worked on environmental restoration projects. The princess created a small holographic image showing for young Kethmaran standing together, their skin glowing with happy, golden patterns. They looked so alive, so full of hope, when our planet's atmosphere started failing. They all volunteered for the most dangerous missions. They went to the toxic zones, trying to deploy emergency air purifiers. They stayed until the very end, trying to save as many people as possible. Elena watched the hologram flicker and fade. They died trying to save their world, yes. And now I'm the only one left who carries our royal genetic codes among my people. The royal family isn't just symbolic. We carry special genetic markers that are necessary for maintaining population diversity. Without me, my species will die out within 3 generations. Elena felt her heart break for her friend. So you're not just a princess. You're the future of your entire species. That's exactly right, Zeravel said sadly. Every day, I feel the weight of 10,000 lives depending on me. Every decision I make could determine whether my people survive or go extinct. And now, by choosing to help you instead of following my mother's orders, I might have doomed them all. The cavern shook again as more explosions echoed above them. Elena realized that both of them were carrying impossible burdens. She was trying to save Earth's dying oceans while honoring her father's memory. And Zeravel was trying to save her entire species while staying true to her conscience. We're both running out of time, Elena said. My planet is dying. Your people are dying. And now our governments are about to start shooting at each other. There might be a way, Zeravel said slowly, but it would require both of us to risk everything. Tell me. The princess activated her communication device, showing Elena a split screen. On one side was the United Nations building in New York, where Earth's leaders were holding an emergency session. On the other side was the Kethmaran Imperial Council chamber, where her mother, and the other leaders were debating whether to attack Earth's military forces. What if we contacted both groups at the same time? Zeravel suggested. What if we showed them everything? Your father's research, my family's sacrifice. The real situation both our species are facing? Elena's heart raced. That would mean revealing everything. Once we do that, there's no going back if it doesn't work. Both sides will treat us as traitors. I know, Zeravel replied. But look at our data. Look at what we've discovered working together. Your biological knowledge combined with our technology really could save both worlds. We have the solution, but only if our people are willing to work together instead of fighting. Elena thought about her father's letter, about his hope that she would be strong enough to find a real solution. She thought about the dying coral reefs, the acidifying oceans, the countless species going extinct every day. Then she looked at Zeravel, who was risking her royal status and her people's future to do what she believed was right, okay? Elena said firmly, let's do it. Let's tell them the truth. But as they prepared to make contact with both governments, Elena's tablet started beeping frantically. Dr. Chen's face appeared on the screen, his expression filled with panic. Elena, you need to get out of there right now, he said urgently. The military found our communication signals. They're sending submarines to your location, and they have orders to capture any alien technology they find. At the same time, Zeravel received an urgent message from Commander Exvolume. Princess, the Imperial fleet has detected human military vessels approaching our position. We are preparing defensive measures. You have 10 minutes to evacuate before we engage. Elena and Zeravel looked at each other, both realizing that their time for peaceful contact was almost over. In minutes, their respective militaries would be shooting at each other, and any chance for cooperation would be destroyed. We have to try now, Elena said, even if we only have a few minutes. We have to try to stop this war before it starts, Zeravel nodded, her skin glowing with determined gold patterns. Together, Elena agreed. They activated the communication systems, knowing that in the next few minutes, they would either save two worlds or watch them destroy each other. The most important conversation in the history of both species was about to begin. Elena's hands shook as she activated the global communication system. In seconds, her face would appear on screens in the United Nations building, while Zeravel simultaneously addressed the Kethmern Imperial Council. They had rehearsed what they would say, but now that the moment was here, Elena felt her courage wavering. Remember, Zeravel whispered, her skin glowing with supportive golden patterns. We're not just speaking for ourselves, we're speaking for every life on both our worlds. Elena nodded and took a deep breath. The screen in front of her lit up, showing the shocked faces of world leaders sitting around a massive conference table. She recognized the President of the United States, the Prime Minister of Britain, and dozens of other powerful people who usually only appeared on news broadcasts. My name is Dr. Eleanor Rodriguez, she began, her voice growing stronger with each word. I'm a marine biologist, and I'm speaking to you from an underwater location where I've been working with representatives of an alien species called the Kethmerans. The room erupted in chaos. Some leaders shouted that this was impossible. Others demanded to know if Elena was being held hostage. The Secretary General of the United Nations had to bang his gavel repeatedly to restore order. Meanwhile, Zeravel was facing similar chaos in the Kethmern Council chamber. Her mother, Empress Kethanara, sat on a throne made of living crystal, her skin dark with anger and disappointment. My daughter, the Empress said in a voice that carried the weight of centuries, you have betrayed your people and violated every law of our society. Explain yourself before we declare you a traitor. Zeravel straightened her shoulders, looking every inch the princess she was born to be. Mother, honored council members, I have discovered something that could save both our species. Please, listen to what Dr. Elena and I have learned back in the UN chamber. Elena had managed to get the leader's attention. She pulled up her father's research data, combined with her own discoveries and the new information she had gathered with Zeravel's help. This is the truth about our planet's condition, Elena said, her voice cutting through the room like a blade. Our oceans will be completely dead within 15 years. Not 50, not 30, 15. I have the data to prove it, and I've been hiding it because I knew it would cause panic. She showed them graph after graph, each one painting a more terrifying picture than the last: fish populations collapsing, coral reefs dying, ocean chemistry changing so rapidly that most marine life couldn't adapt fast enough. But, Elena continued, the Kithmarans have technology that could reverse this damage in months instead of decades. They could save our planet, but only if we work together. One of the military generals stood up angrily. Even if this is true, how do we know these aliens aren't just trying to weaken us before an invasion? Elena looked directly into the camera, because their home planet is already dead. They're not conquerors, they're refugees. They need our help as much as we need theirs. In the Kithmaran Council chamber, Zervel was making the same argument. From the opposite side, Mother, our people are dying. We have 10,000 survivors from a population of billions. And without genetic diversity from Earth's species, we'll be extinct within 3 generations. The Empress's skin flickered with pain at the reminder of their losses. Even if that's true, humans are violent and unpredictable. They'll use our technology to create weapons. Not all of them, Zervel insisted. Dr. Elena has shown me that humans are capable of great compassion and sacrifice. Her own father died trying to save their planet. She's carrying on his work, just like I'm carrying on the work of my fallen siblings. Elena could see Zervel's broadcast on a smaller screen, and she felt a surge of love and admiration for her brave friend. Leaders of Earth, Elena said. Turning back to her own audience, Princess Zervel has given up her royal status to work with me. She's risking everything because she believes in the possibility of peace between our species. The President of the United States leaned forward. Dr. Rodriguez, even if we wanted to cooperate, how could we trust beings we know nothing about, the same way they're trusting us? Elena replied, by taking a leap of faith, by choosing hope over fear. Suddenly, alarms began blaring in both chambers. The human military had located the alien ships, and the Kithmaran fleet was powering up their defensive weapons. They had minutes, maybe seconds, before shooting started. Stop, Elena shouted into her communicator. Admiral Harrison, if you're listening, please hold your fire. Let me prove that cooperation is possible. She turned to Zervel. Show them the prototype. Together, they activated the device they had built during their time in the underwater sanctuary. It was small, about the size of a laptop computer, but it contained the combined knowledge of both species. Elena placed it in a container of polluted seawater from her research samples. Within seconds, the murky, acidic water began to clear. The pH levels normalized, toxic chemicals broke down into harmless components, and the water became clean enough to support marine life again. Both chambers fell silent as they watched this miracle unfold on their screens. This is just a tiny sample, Elena explained, but scaled up with Kithmaran technology. Devices like this could clean our entire ocean in less than 2 years. The science is sound. The technology exists, and we can build it together. In the Kithmaran Council chamber, Zervel was showing similar results with damaged Kithmaran biological samples being healed using Earth-based genetic material. We complement each other perfectly, the princess said to her people. Their biological diversity can strengthen our species, and our technology can heal their planet. Together, we can both survive and thrive. The Empress was quiet for a long moment, studying the data. Finally, she spoke. And if humans use our technology for warfare, then we guide them away from that path, Zervel replied. The same way. They can guide us away from our tendency to isolate ourselves. We learn from each other. Elena could see that some of the human leaders were starting to look convinced, while others still appeared skeptical. I know this is frightening, she said to them. Change is always scary, but the alternative is the death of both our worlds. The Secretary General stood up slowly. Dr. Rodriguez, if we agreed to this cooperation, what would be the first step? Elena looked at Zervel, and they both smiled. They had prepared for this question. A joint research station, Elena said. Build in international waters, where scientists from both species can work together. We start small, with volunteers from both sides. and we prove that cooperation is possible." And Princess Zervel, the Empress, asked her, "Daughter, you would lead this effort?" "I would be honored to," Zervel replied, "but not as a princess, as an ambassador for a new kind of future." The vote in the UN chamber was close, but it passed. 54 countries agreed to participate in the joint research program, while others chose to wait and see what happened. The Kethmaran Council was even more divided, but the Empress's support for her daughter's vision ultimately convinced enough members to approve the experiment. 5 years later, Elena stood on the observation deck of New Harmony Station, the floating research city that had grown from their small beginning. Below her, she could see human and Kethmaran children playing together in the restored coral gardens that surrounded the station. Zervel joined her at the railing, her skin glowing with the peaceful blue patterns that had become her default color since finding her life's purpose. "Do you ever regret it?" Elena asked. "Giving up your royal title?" Zervel laughed, a sound like silver bells chiming. "Look around us, Elena. We've created something neither of our species could have achieved alone. Earth's oceans are healing faster than anyone thought possible, and my people are growing stronger with each new generation." Elena nodded, watching a group of young researchers working together to plant new coral formations. Some were human, some were Kethmaran, and a few were the children of mixed families, something that had been impossible to imagine just 5 years ago. "My father would be proud," Elena said softly. "He always believed that the answer to impossible problems was to find impossible partners." "And my siblings would be amazed," Zervel replied. "They died trying to save our world alone. We succeeded by refusing to be alone." As the sun set over the Pacific, painting the sky in shades of gold and purple, Elena reflected on how much had changed since that first night when a curious alien princess had appeared on her research boat. "Show me what you're hiding, human," Elena quoted with a smile, "and you showed me that some secrets are worth sharing." Zervel replied, "Together." They watched the ocean around them teem with life that had been on the brink of extinction just a few years earlier. Two worlds had been saved not through conquest or technology alone, but through the simple decision of two women to trust each other with the truth. The future was no longer something to fear, it was something to build together.